Welcome back to Goal Report TV. My name is Hersini Del Cid, and I'm here with Mark Serber, and we're ready to talk USL Pro. What is USL Pro?
USL Pro is the third division in U.S. professional soccer. You have Major League Soccer, that's the Premier Division, the first division. Then you have the North American Soccer League, that's the second division. And then USL Pro is the third division and the first division where players are paid to play. And then after that, you have the Premier Development League, which is kind of pro-am. A lot of college players play in that one during the summer. But the USL Pro is the third division. It's a great league because it's gone from being kind of just an East Coast league to one that's expanded all the way across the country. Of course, the Orange County Blues, the first team here out west, and it gives players a chance to play and work their way up the ladder to one day either play in Major League Soccer or work their way overseas.
Tell us more about the affiliation between Major League Soccer and USL Pro.
Well, it's a great affiliation because one of the biggest problems that Major League Soccer was having is that their teams in their reserve league were only playing 9 games. I mean, for instance, right now we're taping before the Orange County Blues take on the Chivas USA Reserves. The Chivas USA Reserves only have 9 games. After this, they have one more game in 12 days, and then they don't play for 3 months. So for those players who are not making the 18-man roster on game days, who aren't getting into games, they're not getting any game experience. And that's where the USA is lacking in terms of its development of bringing up its players. So what this does is it gives the USL Pro a chance to play against MLS reserve teams and test their mettle against guys who are right on the cusp of making it to the top tier of American soccer. And it also gives these reserve teams more games that they can play. Now, what we've also seen is that teams like the LA Galaxy put their reserve team, LA Galaxy 2, into the USL Pro. So now, instead of playing 9 to 12 games a season, they have a 28-game season for their reserve players. And that's huge because that's 28 games for them to develop. And at the same time, the affiliation also allows for clubs to latch on, USL Pro clubs to latch on with Major League Soccer clubs. And so one of the stipulations there is that the USL Pro clubs can take 4 or more of those players from the MLS team and bring them in on loan and get them game experience that way. Now, those players can be called back anytime that the parent club wants them, but at the same time, they're playing instead of just practicing every day and then sitting on the bench, or not even on the bench, in the stands when their team has MLS games.
Is there any particular rule in getting the loan players down, or in like LA Galaxy 2, how do they choose their players from the first team to come down?
Well, that's the great thing. They can do that week by week. That's what's so great about having your own reserve team, is if there's a player who's injured, who needs some game minutes before he gets back into Major League Soccer, you can bring him down and put him there. It's just like shuffling puzzle pieces. They can move them up and down as they please. And that's why I think you're going to see more Major League Soccer teams put their reserve teams in USL Pro rather than just have that affiliation, because it's a lot less paperwork. It's just moving guys up and down between Team 1 and Team 2.
Now, we know LA Galaxy is like the top team in Major League Soccer. Does it seem fair for them to put their first team down to LA Galaxy 2 to play against other USL Pro teams?
The bottom line is that they're not putting them down every weekend. We don't see Landon Donovan playing in one game, breaking the MLS record for goals scored, and then 2 days later going and playing with the LA Galaxy 2. Unfortunately, the thing for reserve teams all over the world, not just in the USL Pro, but is that when you have a reserve team, the goal is not necessarily to win a title. The goal is to bring your younger players up and get those guys on the cusp of first team game action. And so that's the Galaxy's biggest concern. At the same time, you only get better by playing away. That's going to make you win. So I think it's very fair because, first of all, the Galaxy are bringing up a lot of younger guys, a lot of guys who aren't getting playing time. They're not stacking their team. And if you can see, there are some teams that have been able to go toe-to-toe with this Galaxy 2 team. So they might win the title, but they're not just going to run away with it, and therefore it is fair.
Now, in other leagues around the world, we see when a team doesn't do so well, they drop down to second division. What is the difference here in the United States?
There is no relegation promotion in the U.S., and it's strictly economics. First of all, our fans are also fickle. And so if their team went from Division 1 to Division 2, especially in the major cities, they would lose, I bet, like half the attendance. The second thing is, in order to move up from the second division to the first division, in England, for instance, they give you 120 pounds in order for you to be able to upgrade your stadium, upgrade your facilities so that they meet premiership levels. Here, we don't have the money to do that. So imagine if the Orange County Blues were to go from here to Major League Soccer. The sad truth is we don't have the money to move into a StubHub Center. We don't have the money to move away from Irvine to buy the players and to pay the players that we would need in order to sustain ourselves in Major League Soccer. And until the U.S. Soccer Federation is able to pay that kind of money, then we're not going to have relegation promotion. So you're going to see, for a while at least, I believe a long while, a first division, a second division, and a third division with no relegation promotion system.
There are salary caps in Major League Soccer. Is there any in USL Pro?
Not that I know of. I don't think there are salary caps. Just remember, Major League Soccer, there's a lot of ways to get around those salary caps too. So
Now Orlando City is becoming Major League Soccer. How does that work?
Well, Orlando City, first of all, came in with that vision. They put a lot of money into it. They had the fans, and they ran a first-class organization that won year after year after year, and they convinced Sunil Gulati and Don Garber that they were a team that belonged in Major League Soccer, and they had the money and the plans in place to be able to provide those upgrades to win that expansion bid.
There's rumors that Kaka, the Brazilian, is coming over to Orlando City. Is that concrete yet?
Hasn't been 100% confirmed. As far as I understand it, he's going to go on loan in Sao Paulo back in Brazil, and then he's going to come over, but he could be what's called a designated player, one of the players that you can pay as much money as you want to and it won't count against the salary cap, just like David Beckham was, as he was the first designated player when he came to the LA Galaxy.
How many teams are in USL Pro now?
Well, right now it's 14 teams, but it's going to swell. I think there's already 3 teams joining USL Pro next year, and more teams are planning to come in, especially those reserve teams from Major League Soccer. So I think USL Pro is going to grow rapidly in the next few years, and it can only mean good things for the USL Pro, whether they have to split divisions, whether they can do relegation promotion within themselves. But we've already seen with the additions of the teams from Arizona and Sacramento, it takes the burden off of teams like Orange County, who teams would have to come out here, and because they traveled so far from the East Coast, they would play a Friday, Sunday, which is really annoying to play the same team twice, to play 2 games in 3 days. But now Orange County doesn't have to travel all the way east, or they can stay around here and play some games, nor do the East Coast teams have to come out here, play 2 games in 3 days and go home. They can play all the different teams out here, stay out here a little longer. You add teams like Oklahoma City, now you're traveling to the middle of the country, so it's not as bad as the travel schedule was when Orange County, back then the LA Blues, first came into the league.
What are the prizes for the winner, the title winner for USL Pro?
Well, you get the trophy. You get to call yourself champions. I'm not sure of the monetary prizes for it, but it's prestigious. You want to be the best in any league, no matter what league you play in. And so it's a very big honor. And I think Orlando City, winning year after year, we're able to get that bonus money, take that bonus money, put it into their facilities, put it into their players, and put it into their bid. And that's why they're now in Major League Soccer.
What are your thoughts on LA Galaxy's 2 performance this season?
Oh, I think it's been very solid. It's been great. It helped a player like Robbie Rogers, who was injured, get minutes under his belt before going back to the first team, where he's now doing a good job. And you've seen players that don't always get minutes with the first team, and you also see players that are coming up through the academy, and they're getting professional experience. And for a 17, 18-year-old, that's wonderful. We've lost a lot of 17, 18-year-olds to leagues like Mexico and Europe because they realize, hey, if I sign an MLS contract at 17, I might only play 1 or 2 games a year, plus maybe 9 reserve games. If I go to these countries where they have reserve leagues, reserve teams, and youth teams, then I'll be playing 30 to 40 games a year, and that's exactly what they want, and that's exactly what we need for our guys, and 28 games is a great start, and it's only going to help the development of U.S. soccer.
What does the United States performance in the 2014 World Cup mean to leagues like USL Pro, NASL, and Major League Soccer?
It means that the structure's working. It means that we're developing players, we're getting the younger players enough time, we're teaching them the professionalism that they need, not only to go into Major League Soccer, but to go on and play at the international level. But with that said, there's still a ton of work to be done in terms of developing our younger players. We are nowhere near there yet. The bottom line is most of our players become professional after college around 21, 22. By that time, the top pros in Europe have been pros since the age of 16. So they already know what it's like to be a professional, how you have to live your life, and how to play the game. And that experience just really weighs down American players when they're playing against top European and South American opposition.
Now, there's a lot of U.S. soccer fans out there, maybe American outlaws that don't really know much about USL Pro. What do you say to them to get them more interested in coming to these games and support these teams like the Orange County Blues?
I talked to Chivas USA's assistant coach yesterday about his games with his reserve team, excuse me, against these USL Pro teams. He said, look, the line is very thin between the level of these players on the cusp of Major League Soccer and the USL Pro. This is a very good league with very skilled players. Many players get loan moves up to Major League Soccer after good seasons here at USL Pro. So I think that this is coming and watching that next generation of players, or coming and watching players who've played in Major League Soccer who are now finishing out their career. Same thing with other players. We have on the Orange County Blues, Alan Russell, who played 11 years in the Scottish Premier League. That's so great, something so great that you get to see, and you get to see it up close and personal and meet these guys after the game, and the skill level is almost just as good. So I think that it's worth your time and your money, and it's a lot less coming out and watching these USL Pro games and then getting to follow the trajectory of these players' careers.
This is Arsenio Del Cid, and I'll catch you next time on Goal Report TV as we talk more football.